You feel it in the quiet hours, when the world finally loosens its grip and something inside you begins to breathe again. It is subtle at first, like a faint ripple across still water, calling your attention toward a place you have avoided for a long time. You sense a weight you cannot name, a tension beneath the surface, as if your life has been arranged around things that were never truly yours. And yet you kept moving, hoping that movement alone would calm the unease rising through your chest. But the soul has a way of whispering when the mind grows tired, and in those whispers you hear a truth you cannot fully grasp. You feel it as a quiet ache, a strange nostalgia for something you have not lived yet, something older than memory. It pushes through the cracks of your routines and touches the parts of you that no longer wish to pretend. A soft pressure, a gentle pull, a reminder that there is more beneath the mask you show to the world. You try to ignore it, though. You try to bury it beneath responsibilities and noise. Yet every time you do, the silence grows heavier. The mirror becomes harder to face. The nights become longer, and the dreams begin to carry symbols you do not understand. A forest at dusk, a door half open, a figure waiting in the shadows with your own eyes, and you feel the trembling of something sacred within you asking to be seen. There comes a moment when you realize this restlessness is not a flaw. It is a summons, a signal from the deeper layers of your being, urging you to confront all that stands between you and your essence. You sense that what is false cannot survive much longer, and that truth, once awakened, begins to rearrange everything it touches. And so you stand on the threshold, unsure yet strangely ready, feeling the first breath of a journey that has waited for you your entire life. There is a place within you where the mind grows quiet and the deeper currents begin to speak. You reach it slowly, almost by accident, when you tire of holding yourself together. In that space you feel the old tensions loosen. The layers you built to survive start slipping like wet leaves in a fading storm. Something ancient stirs beneath them, something that remembers who you were before the world taught you to fragment. You sense that truth is not an idea. It is a presence. It arrives like a soft light entering a darkened room, revealing shapes that were always there but hidden beneath the night of your habits. At first this light feels intrusive. It touches the corners where you store the parts of yourself you do not want to see. It shows you the shadows you created to protect your fragile identity. And yet, the longer you look, the more you feel that the shadow has been guiding you all along. You begin to understand that the soul is not interested in comfort. It is interested in coherence. It seeks the pieces that no longer belong to the rhythm of your life. It presses against illusions until they crack. When something is false, you feel the strain in your breath. You feel the weight in your chest. You feel the subtle tremor of a life trying to realign toward what is real. This is not punishment. It is purification, the quiet alchemy that turns confusion into clarity. When you let yourself listen, you notice that the symbols appearing in your dreams are not random. They are messages carved in the language of the unconscious. A forest filled with fog asking you to enter. A river that mirrors your face but shows a different expression. A fire burning at the edge of vision, warming and threatening at once. These images are the soul speaking in the oldest tongue you know, urging you to remember what you abandoned on the way to becoming who you thought you needed to be. As you walk deeper, you realize that every lie you told yourself was a door, not a prison. A door that trembles when truth approaches. A door that opens when you have the courage to face what waits on the other side. You start noticing how each fear is a guardian, each wound a gate, each silence an invitation. And somewhere inside you, a faint dawn begins to rise, revealing that what you call breaking is often the first gesture of healing. The soul wants truth, not perfection. It wants the raw, unfiltered essence of who you are when no one is watching. It wants the quiet flame that burns beneath your contradictions. And in its quiet insistence you begin to feel a shift, as if the inner world is rearranging itself to make room for a life that finally aligns with your nature. Something in you knows that this is only the beginning, and yet the path already feels familiar, like returning to a home you forgot existed. There are moments when you feel a tightening in your chest, a quiet pressure rising from a place you rarely visit. It comes when you speak words that do not match your inner world, when you smile while something inside you retreats into shadow. The body feels it before the mind understands. A heaviness in the breath, a tremor along the spine, a subtle sense that you are drifting away from yourself without noticing the distance grow. This is the first signal, the faint whisper of a soul that refuses to live behind a mask any longer. As you look closer, you begin to see how your unconscious reacts to every false note in your life. It gathers in the corners of your awareness like dust in an abandoned room. The shadow watches quietly. It waits for the moment when exhaustion softens your defenses and the truth you avoided starts knocking from within. Jung knew this movement well, this pull toward what has been denied. The psyche does not forget. It circles back to reclaim what you pushed aside, not to punish you but to make you whole. You might feel this return as discomfort, as if the forest of your inner life has grown darker and the path less familiar. You step forward anyway, hearing branches crack beneath your feet, sensing unseen eyes following you. The air thickens, the silence deepens, and somewhere between fear and curiosity, you realize that this darkness is not your enemy. It is the night through which your truth begins to rise like fire from damp wood. In this moment, a quiet insight appears. You understand that the soul breaks what is false not out of cruelty, but necessity. It cannot build a foundation on illusions. It will not allow you to settle where you do not belong. This breaking is the first breath of freedom, though it arrives disguised as loss. You feel the shift inside you, small but undeniable, and it leads you toward the next threshold that waits in the deeper corridors of your being. There comes a night when the breaking grows louder, when the walls you once leaned on begin to tremble. You feel it in the quiet moments when the lights are low and your thoughts move like slow river water through a moonlit valley. Something old begins to surface. Memories you buried, dreams you postponed, the faint echo of a voice you silenced long ago. You sense a kind of inner gravity pulling you toward the places you swore you would never revisit. It feels like stepping into a cavern where your own breathing reveals how alone you have been with yourself. As you walk deeper, you feel the psyche shifting. The unconscious rises like mist from the forest floor, revealing shapes you tried to forget. Old fears, abandoned desires, the fragile child hidden behind years of adaptation. Each one appears in symbolic form, as if wearing a cloak of myth. You see them reflected in an inner mirror that never lies. Jung understood this mirror as the place where the shadow waits, where the truth lives behind the stories you tell to feel safe. The soul knows that nothing false can stand here for long. You notice the imagery changing around you. The cavern becomes a vast temple carved from your own silence. Torches flicker along its walls, casting long shadows that move like forgotten ancestors. You look closer and realize the fire is not burning stone but illusions, melting them into a pool of molten gold at your feet. This gold is the beginning of your inner alchemy. It is the truth extracted from everything you feared would destroy you. And in this rising heat, you understand something essential. The soul does not break what is false to leave you empty. It breaks to reveal what has always been hidden beneath. You feel the truth forming inside you, gathering warmth and clarity, preparing to reshape your life from the inside out. And as the last pieces of illusion slip away, you sense that a deeper transformation waits in the next chamber of your journey. There is a moment when the breaking becomes quiet again, not because it has ended, but because it has revealed what it needed to show. You stand in the center of your inner landscape, surrounded by the remnants of old identities, and you notice a strange calm rising through your body. It feels like dawn after a long night, a pale light spreading across the horizon of your chest. You inhale slowly, and for the first time in years the breath reaches places within you that were sealed shut. Something opens, something softens, something remembers. In this calm you begin to see the structure of your psyche with new eyes. The shadow is no longer a threat, but a companion. The unconscious does not feel like a maze now. It feels like undeveloped land waiting for cultivation. You realize that every fragment you disowned was holding a piece of your vitality. When the false stories broke, they fell away like cracked shells, revealing the living pulse beneath. Jung spoke of this as individuation, the slow emergence of the self through the reconciliation of everything you once rejected. You feel that movement now, subtle yet unmistakable. Around you the imagery shifts once more. The cavern temple opens into a clearing, a small circle of earth surrounded by tall pines. Light filters through their branches in thin, golden threads, illuminating the ground like a quiet blessing. In the center of this clearing lies a still pool, perfectly reflecting the sky. You kneel beside it and see your face, not distorted, not masked, but clear. The water carries no judgment. It simply mirrors what is real. And for a moment you feel an immense tenderness toward the person looking back at you. As this tenderness deepens, you understand a final truth. What the soul breaks, it breaks with love. It breaks to restore alignment. It breaks to return you to yourself. And as you rise from the clearing, the air feels different, lighter, as if a long-held tension has finally dissolved. You sense that what comes next is no longer a descent, but an ascent, a movement toward integration that will guide you into the next unfolding of your being. You feel the journey gather itself inside you, as if every step you took through shadow and silence were threads weaving into a single breath. The breaking that once frightened you now feels like a cleansing rain passing through an overgrown garden. You sense the forest within you awakening, leaves trembling with new light, roots drinking from deeper waters. The truth no longer hides. It rises like a soft flame in your chest, steady and warm, illuminating the path you once walked in the dark. And in that glow you feel the first quiet pulse of transcendence. The mirrors you avoided now feel less threatening. They show not the masks you wore, but the essence that survived beneath them. You see how each wound led you inward, how each fear guarded an unopened door. The river that once reflected confusion now reflects clarity, its surface calm, its depth inviting. You sense currents moving in directions you never allowed yourself to follow. They guide you gently toward the center where your breath feels whole and your presence feels grounded. A place where truth and tenderness coexist without conflict. In this widening stillness, you recognize a simple truth. You were never breaking. You were unfolding. You were being stripped of what could not carry your soul any farther. The dawn you felt rising earlier now stretches across your entire inner sky, soft and gold, touching every corner of your being. You feel the return, the homecoming, the quiet realization that the journey was not about becoming someone new, but remembering the person you abandoned along the way. And in that remembrance, something inside you finally settles into peace. You stand now in a gentler place, as if the landscape within you has taken a long breath. The breaking has softened into clarity, and what once felt like loss now feels like quiet truth resting in your hands. You sense a presence in your chest, calm and steady, reminding you that nothing real was ever taken from you. Only the illusions that asked you to betray yourself. Only the masks that grew too heavy to carry. What remains is the essence you searched for, waiting patiently beneath the noise of your old life. You feel the air around you shift, like the hush that follows a passing storm. There is a tenderness in this silence, a subtle invitation to walk forward with new eyes. You know the path will ask for honesty. You know truth will continue to rise in unexpected ways. Yet you also know you are not alone in this movement. The soul walks with you. The deeper self breathes through you. And the quiet fire that once frightened you now warms the spaces you used to keep closed. In the days ahead you may notice small openings. A softer breath. A clearer thought. A feeling of recognition when you look at your own reflection. Pay attention to these moments. They are signs that the inner work continues, even when you are not aware of it. They are reminders that truth moves like a river beneath the surface, reshaping you with each passing hour. You have stepped into a new rhythm, one shaped not by fear but by alignment. And as you rest in this final moment, you feel the calm of a soul that has told its truth at last. A truth that does not shout, a truth that does not demand. It simply waits for you to hear it. And in that waiting you feel a quiet communion rising in the space between your breath and the world. A peace so still it feels like a whisper settling into your heart.